loved them, you were always there. Now you're blocked, heartbroken, and uncertain of what comes next for you. Stay with me and find clarity and a path forward out of confusion. Thousands of parents are waking up to the shock of being cut off by their adult children. It's painful, it's confusing, and for many it feels impossible to make sense of. Today, I'm going to walk you through one parent's story, but really, it's a story that echoes what I've heard from so many others. I'm Morin. I'm a therapist and an estrangement coach, and I help parents heal after estrangement. Let's talk about what no contact really feels like and how you begin to live again after it. Someone I worked with told me that she had dinner with her daughter on Sunday. By Tuesday, she was blocked. She said, I thought it was a mistake at first. When your child cuts you off, especially without the warning, the pain is like nothing else. This isn't just rejection. It's a kind of grief that leaves no map. You don't get to ask questions. You don't get to explain. You don't get to say goodbye. Now, we're going to go through some tips, so hold on. You just lose them. Parents describe the experience as disorienting, like the floor falling out from under you. You might ask yourself questions like these. What did I do wrong? Why didn't they just talk to me? Was I really that bad of a parent? And here's where it gets even harder. Most parents don't get closure. You're left trying to interpret silence, and silence can feel like the loudest kind of judgment. Here's the hard truth. Estrangement rarely comes out of nowhere. It feels sudden, but often it's been building quietly for years. Some adult children grow up feeling hurt, unheard, dismissed, or emotionally unsafe, but they don't always speak up. They stay quiet, hoping things will get better, or fearing they'll be made to feel guilty if they voice their pain. I need to say this clearly. This doesn't mean you were abusive. It doesn't mean you were a bad parent. It means there were ruptures in the relationship that your child didn't know how to address. Or maybe they tried and it didn't go well. Maybe there were misunderstandings that went unresolved. Maybe you thought things were fine because they never said anything otherwise. Maybe they masked their distress until silence felt like the only way forward for them. And that's not fair to you, but it is what sometimes happens. So some red flags might only be visible in hindsight. Things like growing distant through holidays, tension in conversations, passive-aggressive replies, unresolved conflicts you thought were minor. But when you're busy being a parent, right? You're working, you're showing up, you're holding everything together. It's easy to miss what your child doesn't say. This is where so many parents get stuck, in blame. You start to internalize, I must be a terrible person. You replay over and over again conversations. You torture yourself with guilt. You shut down because shame has convinced you that you don't deserve to heal. Let me say this as plainly as I can. Estrangement is so complicated. There's never just one cause, and it's not always about trauma. It's not always about you. And even when it is partly about you, that doesn't mean you deserve to be erased. We need to be honest. Yes, some adult children estrange because of serious harm or dysfunction, but many also estrange because they don't have the emotional tools to repair because of their own pain, their own fragility, or their own trauma. You are not being blamed. You're not being shamed. You are being invited to reflect, because reflection is where healing starts. One parent I worked with said, I stopped asking why they did it, and I started asking what I could do to live again. Now that shift changes everything. It moves you from fixing to understanding, from controlling to letting go, from desperation to dignity. This doesn't mean giving up. It means reclaiming your peace. It means holding space for grief without letting it define you. And I know this is a lot easier to say than to do, but you can. You begin to live a life that includes both sorrow and strength. You learn that healing and hope can coexist with heartbreak. The parents I see making the most progress don't wait to be forgiven. They start working on themselves. Here's what helps them the most: supportive spaces. Things like therapy, estrangement, coaching, or groups that encourage reflection and growth, not just blame or outrage. Journaling is another one, and letter writing, even if the letter is never sent, and this is a good one. Setting boundaries with shame. You refuse to believe you're unworthy of love because your adult child walked away. Finding new purpose through connection, learning, helping others. If this feels like too much for you now, that's okay. Be patient and compassionate with yourself. Try not to isolate, but be around those who love and value you. You can love your child and still grieve the relationship. You can take accountability without punishing yourself. You can heal even if they never return. Some children do. They do come back, and some don't. But what matters more is who you become. You can become someone wiser, more compassionate, and emotionally stronger. Someone who doesn't live in shame, but lives in truth. Someone who no longer begs for peace, but builds it. You deserve that. Whatever your child chooses, you deserve to feel whole again. If you want to talk, you can reach me with a strategy session in the description box below. I hope to talk to you soon.